Meeting will come to order. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Mr. Alvarez? Mr. Avila?
Present.
Mr. Bradford?
Present.
Mrs. McGowan?
Present.
Ms. Santos? Present. Ms. Shore?
Present.
Ms. Steele? Here. Madam President?
Here.
7 present, constituting a quorum, Madam President.
So ordered. Item number 21.
Item 21, authority to award contract 15-66511, landscape and native prairie landscape maintenance and prairie service areas, Group A to Christie Weber and Company, in amount not to exceed $1,323,000, and Group H to Native Landscape Contractors LLC, an amount not to exceed $438,724.
Commissioner Avila.
Thank you, Madam President. On this contract, on the specifications, do you have a section in there for applying pesticides?
Director Sherman.
We have a section for herbicide application, limited herbicide.
And are those sections, where are the areas that you?
So the primary method of weed control is mechanical means, which is cutting it down. In certain areas, certain disjointed areas actually, like in pavement cracks, around lysimeters. I'm sorry, in pavement cracks, around lysimeters, around guardrail areas, around digesters. That's the only place we're applying.
So you're applying it in areas that won't affect native plants?
Yes, in fact, they have to be disjointed.
Okay, so all this herbicide that you're applying won't affect native plants. So, and the herbicide, what's the brand name of the herbicide?
It's a glyphosate.
Is that Roundup?
Roundup is one of them.
I like to defer this there and like to see us rewrite that specification to eliminate Roundup. But if anyone here has any questions on applying herbicide, they could voice their opinion. But I'm gonna defer it so they could eliminate Roundup from the specification, because the World Health Organization had made a study on Roundup and its probable cost on carcinogen. And a lot of the countries throughout the world are banning Roundup. And since we're an agency that protects the environment, we should practice good practice and not have herbicide that will affect cancer. So I'm going to defer it, but after any
Commissioner, could you hold your deferral until some commissioners have some questions on that? Okay, so deferral will be held. Commissioner McGowan, did you have anything you'd like to say on this item?
He had his hand.
I know, but you had asked when I...
Oh, yeah, of course I did. I'm sorry, Madam President. I wanted to confirm that we're only being asked today to award Group A and Group H. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Shore and then Commissioner Bradford.
I'd like to ask whether the selective application of herbicides is included in the treatment of the native landscaping installations on district parcels, because as I have visited plants, I have observed some of those areas being overtaken by teasel, which is a highly invasive plant, and the only way to really address it is a selective application of herbicide. And I would hate to remove that tool from the toolbox, and because in my view that would mean we'd be
Overrun.
we would be throwing away the hundreds of thousands of dollars that this agency has already invested in those native plant installations. Now, this is applied to invasive plants, not the native plants.
Correct. And there are herbicides that are involved in H, Group H, that is asking to be awarded as well for the control of invasive species within the native plant areas. And there really is no other good alternative to control those invasives. So you're correct about that. And that is included in the contract, and it is a part of that control.
I would add that in my volunteer work as doing habitat restoration in the forest preserves periodically, herbicides are used selectively when invasives are removed to achieve that greater goal of ecosystem health. And what the district is seeking to do in these native installations is reduce our greenhouse gases because they don't need to be mowed, reduce the need for irrigation. It's a generally good thing to do, and I would hate to see them be destroyed. But I have a technical question. This item on our agenda is to award a contract. Are we able to go back and rewrite specs at this point?
Deferral mandates that this item would come up again next time exactly as written, so no changes can be made here to this contract. It'll be reviewed by the board next board meeting.
And therefore, we wouldn't have those landscaping services for a period of weeks.
Or, yeah, until it's approved. That's correct.
But if it were defeated in order to have specs rewritten, then we may go for many weeks without landscaping during the growing season.
That's correct. We can, and we do need to control weeds in our. We have concrete plants, and the concrete has seams in them, and when plants grow in those seams, it deteriorates those concrete structures. So if we don't control the weeds in those cracks, then the assets that we own deteriorate. So, I believe that what we're doing to manage those weeds is appropriate to protect our assets and make sure that our plants can operate and have the longest life possible for the investment that we make. So I would recommend that we move forward with this.
I only want to say to Commissioner Avila that I think I support many of your initiatives in the past and will continue to. I disagree with you on this one instance just because I think we need to be able to use limited herbicides on non-native plants in certain places in our facilities. Thank you.
Commissioner Bradford.
My questions have been answered. I'm in agreement with both Commissioner Avila and Commissioner Shorter. So I'll just hold off on any other comments I want to make at this time.
Okay. Commissioner Steele.
Okay, most of my questions were answered, but one quick one. So Roundup is the only option for the herbicide to do what needs to be done.
Roundup is actually a name brand,
Right.
but we're actually calling for glyphosate. So there are others which are similar to Roundup techniques. It's a you probably know, glyphosate based.
Now, Commissioner Avila, is your main concern the Roundup? Using Roundup?
Right.
Pardon?
Is your main concern using Roundup? I'm just trying to make sure.
Manju mentioned the ingredients. Glyphosate, that is the ingredients where the World Health Organization just came out with the study. They just came out with the study that is a probable cause of carcinogen. And we are an environmental agency. And as an environmental agency, we should have ingredients that we apply on our land that's not carcinogen. And if we don't follow our policy to protect the health and welfare of the people, then we're not, I don't think we're an environmental agency. And one of the questions was asked is that, are there any other ingredients? And I don't know if Dave is an expert on deciding which is good or which is bad. And I think that maybe our research department, we have a good research department, maybe they could do more research on it and see why other agencies or other farmers are not using Roundup. And even though they have these invasive species coming in, that they say that disrupting the native plants. I
Commissioner
mean,
Steele?
I don't think we ever made a good study on the products that we're using that is toxic or non-toxic. We are an environmental agency, and I think we should start being an environmental agency to protect the health and welfare of the people. And if we don't start, when do we start?
Commissioner Steele, did you have any other questions?
So it's the glyphosate, that's what I'm,
What's that?
the glyphosate, that I'm thinking, right?
Okay. Did you have
I'm
anything? Okay, Commissioner Santos.
Thank you. So, now my landscaping skills are very minimal as planting flowers and such, but just so I understand this, our concern as an agency, of course, as an environmental agency, is to do things that is best for the environment. The use of Roundup or something similar to that, that chemical-based weed killer on cement, what is the detriment to the environment?
I think Commissioner Avila is correct that I'm not an expert on this issue. And there are regulatory agencies that monitor these things and have guidelines in their use and the safe use of chemicals. And of course, we practice those guidelines. And there are agencies that have that mission to look at these chemicals that are being used and to determine whether or not they should be allowed in the public sphere. And
So David, if I can interrupt you. So these agencies that put together the guidelines for the state of Illinois and perhaps US EPA or whatever, we are adhering to those guidelines that are established by the professionals and by the people that know what they're doing, and they put these together and we're following them to a T?
that's correct.
Okay, that's one question I have. The second question I have is we have other goals that we do as an agency besides protect the environment. We also are trying to improve the environment. So we also have a mission of trying to reduce flooding, and part of that goal is by planting native species that absorb the natural waters that come in and try to prevent the flooding that occurs on a regular basis, like happened this week with all this rain. So in order to grow these native species and to keep the invasive species out that may hinder our plan for flood control, we need to use this herbicide, correct?
That's my understanding.
Okay. So, would it be helpful to those who have concerns, maybe to have somebody from the landscape company come in and explain how and when they're using these chemicals? Because I tend to agree with Commissioner Shore that we have a joint mission here. I mean, I know Frank's, and I understand his concerns, but we also want to protect these native plantings that we've spent a small fortune on to try to reduce flooding. And if we only have a limited options of how we can do that, I think we need to move ahead.
You know, certainly we could entertain some kind of a study session on that topic. I know that, you know, the Commissioner Avila's requests in the past haven't fallen on deaf ears. I know that staff has worked hard to look for alternatives. They've looked for ways to reduce the use of herbicides in the maintenance of our grounds and try to strike that balance between making sure that we're taking care of the facilities that we operate and the assets that we've invested in, such as the native prairie landscape and herbicides. So we've tried to strike that balance. I know that 0 is your acceptable or Commissioner Avila's acceptable level. It it's staff's opinion that that level will not accomplish the result that we're trying to accomplish. So, you know, a study session would be fine in my mind, having some native prairie folks come in and talk about how you maintain native plants and what needs to be used in their opinion. They are the experts, I'm certainly not.
If I can just add one more comment, Madam President, before I...
Sure.
I'm just concerned that if we push this along to another meeting, and then we have to rebid this whole thing, with all the rain we've had in the last 2 weeks, these invasive species have got to be out of control. I know my weeds in my yard are out of control. So I'm just concerned about what will happen to the landscaping that we've done. You know what I mean, if we keep pushing this off. So that's my only concern with deferring this item.
Okay. Any other comments, Commissioner Stanton?
No, I'm done.
Commissioner McGowan?
Thank you. I want to kind of touch on what Commissioner Santos talked about it. Are we talking about changing the scope of this contract? Because we're being asked to award this contract today. And if we change the scope, will there be an increase in cost? And will we have to re-advertise?
Well, I don't know that, I think Commissioner Avila is asking staff to change scope. I'm not hearing that from the entire board, or his board asking for that. An item is being deferred today that will have to appear next meeting and be voted on again by the board. So I guess we would get our directive at the point that the board would vote either yes or no, and to find out what the will of the board is, which we're willing to cooperate with. And I would say that, you know, there's trade-offs. You know, we're trying to be a good neighbor to people as well in maintaining our properties. We're trying to step up that effort because we've had communities that have complained about how our facilities have looked. And there's some realities that go along with that. If you're going to be a good neighbor and you're going to take care of your property, there are things that you have to use. And again, we're trying to strike that balance. And I believe that it's in the public interest and in the district's best interest to move ahead with these contracts so that we can fulfill that work. We're open, of course, to if the board decides that herbicides are something that you don't want to use, then we're going to have to relook at that and try to figure out what we can do. But we're trying to come up with the best solution to balance, again, the commissioner's request to minimize that use, but to use it appropriately where we feel like we really don't have the alternatives to not use it and be good stewards of our resources.
Anything else, Commissioner McGowan?
No, that's it.
Okay, Commissioner Avila?
Thank you, Madam President. Our mission at the district is to protect the health and welfare of the public. And if we go out and use Roundup, people are going to say Roundup is good because the district is using it, their environmental agency. You go to the stores, you go to Home Depot, Ace Hardware stores, you see Roundup pile all the way up to the ceiling. And the people are using it on their lawns. They're spraying it. Their kids get on the lawns, their dogs get on the lawns, the adults get on the lawns, and it could cause cancer, carcinogen. So as a district, if we use Roundup, they're going to say it's okay to use Roundup because the Water Reclamation District is an environmental agency, and we say it's okay. And yet, Manju mentioned that they apply Roundup on not on native plants, but on areas that comes up through the cracks. So why are we worried about native plants if they don't apply it on the native plants area? I would like to see us eliminate herbicides altogether, be an environmental agency that we can show to the world that yes, this is what the Metropolitan Water Reclamation District does, and we do not encourage buying products that are toxic to the public. That's all I'm saying. So if we vote yes, because we want to say that we're going to eliminate all the native plants, We're not going to help flooding because we're in the area of the Water Reclamation District property that a native plant is helping flood. Can someone answer me that? We have Ryan, we have Murray right there. Murray, can you answer that question, that where is the area of native plants that is helping flooding?
You know, I
Murray, I like Murray to answer that question.
well, Murray works for me, so I'm gonna retain the authority to go ahead and answer this question if you want an answer. You know, we do believe that with green infrastructure that we are promoting, that we should walk the walk. You know, so we do have native prairie areas that are a good use of property in terms of getting water to infiltrate into the ground and not exacerbating flooding. We put a green roof on Racing Avenue Pump Station. We are implementing, we have impervious parking lots that we're putting in our facilities because we do want to encourage the right kind of behavior when it comes to dealing with stormwater. So, you know, you're right that we should walk the walk. We should do the things that we think are responsible, and we believe we are. And it's very clear what your viewpoint is on herbicides. I'm hearing you loud and clear. I think staff has as well. And again, we are trying to strike that balance, and there are different viewpoints on the issue that you're raising. So, again, I am, and staff is, of course, willing to cooperate with the view of the board and follow the board's pleasure on this issue.
Well, my feeling is that we are not being a green environmental agency if we don't walk the walk. And just eliminate herbicides and do a lot of research to see how we could eliminate all the invasive species that we have, you say, that's affecting the native plants. Because where do we buy our native plants from? Do we buy it here in the state of Illinois, or do we go outside the state to buy our native plants?
So, leave. Thank you. We have a deferral that is on hold now. It may allow us some time, and Commissioner Shore, I'll get to you in a moment. It may allow us to get some information to commissioners, answer questions. It also may get information to Commissioner Avila to make him more comfortable with it. And I feel very confident that we will continue our processes at our treatment plants if we hold this for 2 weeks. Commissioner Shore.
Thank you, Madam President. Does the language of the contract permit substitutions if there are products that could be used that don't contain glyphosate?
Ms. Sharma?
Our contracts always include or approve equal, so technically, yes.
Or equal to, in other words, if there are other types of herbicides that would perform but don't contain that product, they can be used within the language of the current contract.
Yes.
And could we find out, perhaps even by this afternoon session, whether the bidder has those products in mind that might be able to be substituted?
We can try.
Frank? Commissioner Avila, would you feel comfortable at least deferring it till the afternoon with the option of deferring it till the next board meeting?
I like this for the next board meeting.
Okay, item deferred, we can end the discussion then.